Hey there, fantasy owners. LTC Fantasy here. Not sure if you're chiming in watching via YouTube or listening via podcast, but really do appreciate the watch or listen no matter how you're streaming the episode. Before we get started, do want to mention we have partnered up with 247clash.com. A link is in the description there. It's basically a pools type player versus player fantasy type game. It's basically made winnable for anyone there. If you do go to www.247clash.com, on the homepage at the top of it you'll see a link on a how to play little video. I believe it's 49-50 seconds long. You'll see how easy and fun it is to play there. And if you decide to sign up and make a deposit, do use referral code LTC, as it does help out this podcast behind the scenes there, while also giving you a chance to win some cash there. Do note that right now it is for Canadian residents only. Might change in the future, but for right now it is for Canadian residents only there. Today is our Week 19 strategy episode, so we'll look at this week's schedule, break it down, and suggest players to hopefully help strengthen your fantasy roster and secure that win for you. Some things to note this week. Typical light nights: Monday it's 6 games, Wednesday 3 games, Friday 6 games, and Sunday 7 games there. It's a 2-game week for 4 teams, them being Arizona, Colorado, Dallas, and Florida. So them teams a little bit lighter. If you got borderline players, those are the ones you're going to want to drop. 4 games for a number of teams this week. That being Anaheim, Buffalo, Calgary, LA, Minnesota, the Islanders, the Rangers, Philly and Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Washington, and Winnipeg. So quite a few there. So we will focus on the Monday and Wednesday light nights. We will cover Friday and Sunday a little bit here with who plays 3 out of 4 light nights, but we'll focus on them more later in the week on our weekend ads episode there. And we will also cover all teams that do play 4 games this week to kind of give you an advantage from a man's played perspective. So we will start out by covering Anaheim and Calgary first, as they do play 3 games in the first 4 nights this week. That can help you jump out to that early lead. So if you get them for their first 3 games, drop one of those players, pick up somebody after you watch the weekend ads episode, get somebody that plays 2 games on the weekend there. You could potentially get 5 games out of 1 player slot if you kind of manage your player ads there. Then we will cover the Islanders and Winnipeg there, as they do play all 4 light nights this week. They got a really nice schedule that way. And then we will cover the remaining Monday teams that we haven't covered yet, then the remaining Wednesday teams, and then we'll finish off with the remaining 4-game teams that don't play on Monday or Wednesday. So basically we'll get right into it here. Some D-men that have 3 games in the first 4 nights this week. Look at Cam Fowler from Anaheim. He's owned in 14% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, top power play unit. He has 9 points his last 10 games. One of those being on the power play there. And in those 10 games, he's also had 24 shots on goal and 9 blocks. Overall, he's been pretty nice the last 10 games. It looks pretty nice, 9 points in 10. But all points have been in 4 multi-point games. So he is kind of feast or famine right now. But with that condensed schedule, hopefully you should get some value out of him. Another one in Anaheim is John Klingberg. He's owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues, plays second pairing, second power play unit. He has 5 points his last 5 games. And in those 5 games, he's also thrown 5 hits and blocked 9 shots there. He's been better of late. He did have a really rough start, but he's been better the last couple of weeks here. So with that, might be an okay streaming option earlier in the week. Over in Calgary, maybe look at Noah Hannafin, owned in 59% of Yahoo leagues. Plays top pairing, second power play unit. Might be top power play unit depending when Anderson comes back there. But he has 7 points the last 9 games. And in those 9 games, he's +6 with 22 shots on goal and 10 blocks in there. It's been pretty good of late there. And he should be a pretty damn solid option with the condensed schedule early on. Now some forwards that have 3 games in the first 4 nights there. Look at Adam Henrique over in Anaheim, listed as center left winger, owned in 16% of Yahoo leagues. Plays second line, top power play unit. He has 9 points his last 11 games. And in those 11 games, also fired 30 pucks on net there. So it's decent offense for a while. He's been pretty good for quite a bit here, and he should be a good streaming option in a scoring league. Next one in Anaheim's Frank Vetrano, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 13% of Yahoo leagues. Plays third line, second power play unit there. He has 8 points his last 8 games, and in those 8 games, he's had 29 shots on goal and 9 blocks in there. Overall, it has been a disappointing season for him, but he's been better the last few weeks here. So with that, he could be an okay streamer considering he has 3 games in the first 4 nights there. Over in Calgary, look at Dylan Dubé, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 11% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top line, top power play unit for the Flames there. He has 7 points in a 3-game point streak. 2 of those points being on the power play and 10 shots on goal in those 3 games. So he's been really hot the last week here. And he'll honestly be a great option if he keeps this up for a few more games anyways. Another one in Calgary is Andrew Mangiapane, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 35% of Yahoo leagues. He plays third line, second power play unit, and he's been pointless the last 4 games, but before that he put up 7 points in the previous 5 games there. So he has been streaky, so there is a little bit of risk there, but when he gets points in bunches recently, so it'll be kind of a hit or miss, but he might be worth a gamble early on in the week. Another one in Calgary is Blake Coleman, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 19% of Yahoo leagues. Plays on the third line for the Flames there. He has 7 points the last 6 games, and in those 6 games he's been +7 with 17 shots on goal and 9 hits in there. He is streaky, but he is on a bit of a roll of late here, so in a deeper league, he might be worth taking a chance on. Last one in Calgary is Michael Backlund, listed as a center, owned in 20% of Yahoo leagues. He plays third line, up on the top power play unit there, and he has 10 points the last 9 games. And in those 9 games, also +10, 25 shots on goal, also thrown 14 hits in those 9 games there. So he's been good for a few weeks, there's no denying that, and he should be a pretty decent streaming option for you. Before we do get into the next segment, do want to ask you, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so as we're trying to grow it. Hopefully you're getting some value out of these episodes and you're securing those wins for you. And that's my own little personal plug, and good luck, and we'll move along to some D-men that play all 4 light nights this week. Over for the Islanders, look at Sebastian Aho. 0% owned, basically available everywhere. He plays on the third pairing, second power play unit, and he has 3 points the last 4 games. And in those 4 games, he's +3, and one of those points being on the power play. So he's been producing a bit of late. He has been streaky, so he is risky, but with all 4 light nights, and if you're in a deeper league, should bring some value for you. Another one for the Islanders to maybe look at is Adam Pelech, owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues. He plays on the top pairing for the Islanders there, and he has 3 points the last 6 games, so half point per game there, with 9 hits and 16 blocks in those 6 games. Definitely not known for his offense, but he will get you the hits and blocks for sure, so might be an okay streamer depending how your league is formatted there. Last one's over in Winnipeg. Look at Neil Pionk. Owned in 48% of Yahoo leagues, plays top pairing, second power play unit, only has 3 points the last 9 games, but in those 9 games, he also has 18 hits and 17 blocks. Definitely a down year offensively for him, but he is still getting you hits and blocks, and a fair amount of them. So he is streaky, but he could help you in certain formats there. Now to look at some forwards that have all 4 light nights this week. Possibly look at Kyle Palmieri for the Islanders, listed as a right winger, owned in 11% of Yahoo leagues, plays second line, second power play unit there. He has 7 points the last 9 games, and in those 9 games he's +5, has 23 shots on goal and 15 hits in there. He's slowed down a bit, but overall decent since coming back from injury, and he should be an okay option with having all 4 light nights. Over in Winnipeg, maybe look at Blake Wheeler, listed as a right winger, owned in 51% of Yahoo leagues. Playing second line up on the top power play unit there. He has 12 points the last 9 games, and 4 of those 12 points have been on the power play. He's been producing pretty much anytime he's been in the lineup. He was injured for a little bit there. So if he's available, grab him. You'll definitely like him next week. Another one in Winnipeg's Cole Perfetti, listed as center, left winger, and right winger, owned in 14% of Yahoo leagues. He plays on the top line for the Jets there in second power play unit. He has 3 points the last 9 games, so not the greatest offense, but also thrown 9 hits in those 9 games. His offense is really hit or miss there, but plays on the top line, gets a little bit of power play time. So with that and having 4 light nights, if it is a deeper league, might turn out to be okay for you. So now we'll look at some remaining D-men that play on Monday. We have already covered Anaheim, Calgary, the Islanders, and Winnipeg that play on Monday. So the remaining Monday teams, out of them, Philly, Pittsburgh, and the Rangers have 4-game weeks. The Florida only has a 2-game week, and the rest play 3 games there. So Philly, Pittsburgh, and the Rangers, those are the ones probably the most value for you. And we'll start off in Philly. Look at Ivan Provorov, owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues, plays top pairing. He has 6 points the last 9 games, and in those 9 games also has 17 blocks in there. He's a little sporadic with his offense, but should be an okay option on a light night. He will still get you some blocks even if the offense isn't quite there. Another one in Philly to maybe look at is Rasmus Ristolainen, owned in 9% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing there, and he has 6 points the last 8 games, and in those 8 games he's also +6, has 21 hits and 13 blocks. It's been pretty solid of late, and with that he should be a decent option, especially on a light night. Over in Pittsburgh, look at Jeff Petrie, owned in 54% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit. And, he has 5 points the last 9 games, and of those 5 points, 2 were on the power play, and in those 9 games also 23 shots on goal, 27 hits, and 13 blocks. It's pretty good in most categories and should be a fairly solid streaming option, especially in a Cats league. For the Rangers, maybe look at Keandre Miller, owned in 55% of Yahoo leagues, plays second pairing, second power play unit there, and he has 5 points in the last 4 games. Really nice total there. +8 in those 4 games. Also has 16 hits. That's a lot of hits in that amount of time, and 6 blocks. So he's been heating back up, and he should be a really good option for you if he is available. Last one's over in Ottawa. Maybe look at Eric Brandstrom. Available everywhere. 0% owned, but plays second pairing, second power play unit. And he has 2 points the last 3 games. And in those 3 games, he's also +2, has 6 blocks. With Sanderson on IR right now, Brandstrom is getting the extra opportunity on the power play unit in that. He is quite risky because basically he's disappeared for most of the season. Little glimpses here and there. So in real deep leagues, he might be worth the gamble there. So now we'll look at some remaining Monday forwards. Do remember we have already covered Anaheim, Calgary, the Islanders, and Winnipeg. And out of this section, again, it's Philly, Pittsburgh, and the Rangers have 4-game weeks. Florida has a 2-game week, and the rest are 3-game weeks for them. Start again in Philly. Look at Owen Tippett, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 9% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, second power play unit there, and he has 6 points the last 9 games. In those, And in those 9 games, he has 24 shots on goal, 16 hits, and 13 blocks there. He is streaky, but in a deeper league, he might be an okay option for you. Another one in Philly's Kevin Hayes, listed as center left winger, owned in 49% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing third line and top power play unit for the Flyers there. He has 7 points the last 10 games, and of those 7 points, a couple were on the power play. Also fired 23 shots on net in those 10 games. So he's slowed down a bit, but overall he's having a really good season there. So if he is available, should be a pretty solid option for you. Over in Pittsburgh, look at Ricard Raquel, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 61% of Yahoo leagues. Plays top line, top power play unit there. He has 10 points the last 11 games. And of those 10 points, 3 have been on the power play, has 28 shots on goal in those 11 games, 15 hits and 7 blocks. So he's been fairly good in most Cats of late and should be a solid option, especially in a Cats league for you. Another one in Pittsburgh's Brian Rust, listed as a right winger, owned in 52% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit. He has 6 points his last 9 games, and in those 9 games has 21 shots on goal and 9 hits there. He is streaky of late, but on a light night could turn out to be a good option for you. For the Rangers, look at Philip Chittle, listed as center right winger, owned in 46% of Yahoo leagues, playing third line, second power play unit there. It's been pointless the last 2 games, so not really pointless that long. And before that, he put up 9 points over 6 games. Overall, he's been pretty good for quite a while now, so if he is available in your leagues, it should be a really solid option, especially with it being a light night on Monday there. Next one for the Rangers is Alexis Lafreniere, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 29% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing third line, second power play unit, and he has 8 points his last 9 games. And in those 9 games, it's been +6, has 19 shots on goal and 23 hits. It's been pretty good for a bit here and should be a pretty good streamer in a Cats league if he's available for you. Next one for the Rangers is Capo Caco, listed as a right winger, owned in 6% of Yahoo leagues. He also plays on that third line, second power play unit there, and he has 8 points his last 8 games, being a +4 in those 8 games, also one of those points being on the power play there. He's been producing of late and should be an okay option in a scoring league. Over in Florida, look at Eetu Listerainen, listed as center left winger, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues, playing third line, second power play unit. He's put up 6 points his last 6 games, and in those 6 games, he's +4, has 11 shots on goal and 5 blocks. He's on a bit of a roll right now and should be a pretty good streamer in a deeper Cats league. Over in Boston, maybe look at Taylor Hall, listed as a left winger, owned in 50% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit there. He has points in 3 straight, and in those 3 games also +2 power play point, 7 shots on goal, 4 blocks. Really nice 3-game stretch for him. He is really streaky though, so he is going to be a love-hate relationship. He can disappear for you, but he seems to be heating up, so with it being a light night, it might be worth a gamble with Hall there. Next one is David Krejci over in Boston, listed as a center, owned in 33% of Yahoo leagues, plays second line, top power play unit there. He has 9 points the last 11 games with 7 blocks in there. He has been fairly consistent most of the year and should be a safe option in scoring leagues, especially it being a light night. Another one in Boston is Pavel Zacha, listed as center, left winger, right winger, owned in 22% of Yahoo leagues. He has 7 points the last 8 games, and in those 8 games, +4, 16 shots on goal and 9 hits in there. It's been pretty good for a bit, so with that, he should be a decent option on a light night. Over in Ottawa, look at Matthew Joseph, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues. Playing up on the top line, he has 4 points the last 5 games. In those 5 games, also has 6 hits and 4 blocks in there. It's been okay on the top line, and he's been up to about 2 weeks up there, so in deeper leagues, should be an okay option. Over in San Jose, look at Logan Couture, listed as center, owned in 48% of Yahoo leagues, plays second line, top power play unit there, and he has 8 points the last 6 games. And of those 8 points, 1 has been on the power play. Also has 19 shots on goal, 13 hits, and 3 blocks in those 6 games. So you should, with that, he's pretty steady and good in most categories, other than plus-minus. So it'll be a really good option if he's available in a Cats league. Next one in San Jose is Alexander Barabanov, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 5% of Yahoo leagues. He's had 8 points the last 6 games, Of those 8 points, 2 have been on the power play. Also has 10 shots on goal in those 6 games. So on a roll and should be a pretty good streamer in a scoring league. Over in Seattle, look at Jared McCann, listed as center left winger, owned in 33% of Yahoo leagues. Playing top line, second power play unit. He's put up points in 4 straight now, with 9 shots on goal and a couple of blocks in there. So he's hot right now, and basically not much else to say. He should be a good streaming option. Another one in Seattle is Eli Tolvanen, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 12% of Yahoo leagues, playing third line up on the top power play unit there. And he too has points in 4 straight. And in those 4 games, he's been +2, has 4 hits and 3 blocks in there. He's also hot at the moment, as I alluded to, and should be an okay option for you, especially it being a light night. Another one in Seattle is Oliver Bjorkstrand, listed as a right winger, owned in 11% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing third line, second power play unit, and he has 8 points the last 9 games. It's been a lot better of late. It's been a real struggle for him this year in Seattle to first half anyways, but he's still a bit risky, but a lot better of late. Should be a decent option in your deeper leagues. So now we'll move along to some remaining Wednesday D-men. We have already covered the Islanders, Calgary, and Winnipeg. So out of these teams, Arizona and Dallas, it's only a 2-game week for them, but they do get one of their games on a light night. And Chicago has 3 games this week. So we'll start off in Arizona. Possibly look at Juuso Välimäki, owned in 11% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, top power play unit there. And he has 6 points the last 5 games. And in those 5 games, +3, couple points on the power play there. 12 shots on goal and 8 blocks. With Chychrun sitting out the last few games there with trade speculation, etc., Välimäki's getting definitely getting more opportunity there. And with that, could be a decent option on a light night, especially in your deeper leagues. Over in Chicago, maybe look at Jake McCabe, owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues, plays on the top pairing there, and he has 3 points the last 4 games. In those 4 games, has 11 shots on goal, 6 hits, and 6 blocks. He's not known for his offense, so definitely don't count on it, but he has been chipping in other categories. So with that, in a deep Cats league, he could be an okay option for you. Moving along to some remaining Wednesday forwards. Do remember we have already covered the Islanders, Calgary, and Winnipeg. And out of this section, Arizona and Dallas have 2 games, and Chicago has a 3-game week. So we'll start off in Arizona. Look at Barrett Hayton, listed as a center, owned in 6% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, top power play unit there. And he has 6 points the last 8 games, so decent amount of offense there. And in those 8 games, he's +5, 3 of those points being on the power play there, with 27 shots on goal and 6 blocks. So he's been fitting in on that top line with Schmaltz and Keller. Should be a decent option on a light night for you. One of his line mates next. Look at Nick Schmaltz, listed as center right winger, owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues. He also plays top line, top power play unit. He's put up 14 points the last 9 games. And in those 9 games, +7. Like +7 in the desert's pretty damn good. 4 of those 14 points being on the power play. Also has 24 shots on goal and 6 blocks in those 9 games. So he's been on a tear. There's not much else to say, and he'll be should be an excellent option for you, it being a light night. Another one in Arizona, maybe look at Lawson Krause, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 15% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, second power play unit. He has 7 points his last 8 games, and in those 8 games, +4. Look at the pluses for the Coyotes right now. Also in those 8 games, 17 shots on goal, 14 hits, and 5 blocks. He is really streaky, so there obviously is risk, but in a deeper Cats league on a light night, Krause could turn out to be an alright option. Over in Chicago, maybe look at Max Domi, listed as center, left winger, right winger, owned in 25% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing top line, top power play unit. He only has 1 point the last 5 games played, but he did have points in 5 straight games before that there. So with Domi, he can score, and he is back up on the top line. so he should be an okay option in your scoring leagues. Another one maybe in Chicago is Sam Lafferty, listed as center right winger, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues. He plays third line, second power play unit. He's put up 7 points the last 10 games. And in those 10 games, he has 20 shots on goal and 25 hits. So really nice amount of hits. He's been playing not bad of late. So in a real deep Cats league, that's where he might be worth taking a roll of the dice on there. Move along to some remaining D-men that have 4-game weeks that don't play Monday or Wednesday. Start off in Buffalo. Maybe look at Owen Power, owned in 48% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing second power play unit. He's been pointless the last 5 games, but before that he had points in 4 straight. So he is really streaky, which you get with younger players. So he is risky, but with a 4-game week, he might be worth a gamble there. Next one's over in LA. Look at Sean Dursey, owned in 31% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit there. He did break his slump. He had about an 8-game scoring slump, I think, with a power play assist the last game. And he is close to a half point per game overall for the season. So definitely has offensive upside. So he should be an okay streamer now that he snapped that slump he was in. Over in Minnesota, look at Kalen Addison, owned in 11% of Yahoo leagues. He plays third pairing top power play unit, and he has 5 points the last 9 games, so over half point per game, a couple of those points being on the power play. So it's okay offense of late, and he does have offensive upside there, so he should be an okay option for your scoring leagues. Over in Washington, look at Eric Gustafson, owned in 39% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, top power play unit. He's put up 6 points over the last 5 games. A couple of those points being on the power play to go along with 12 shots on goal and 6 hits there. He's heating back up and should be a solid option in your scoring leagues, especially there. Another one in Washington's Dmitry Orlov, owned in 23% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second pairing, second power play unit. He's put up 2 points the last 4 games. One of those being on the power play and threw 4 hits in those 4 games. He's a bit sporadic of late, so definitely is some risk involved, but should be an alright 4-game option for you this week, depending how deep your league is. Last one in Washington maybe look at is Trevor Van Riemsdyk, only owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top pairing. He's also listed on second power play unit right now. He's put up 4 points the last 5 games, and in those 5 games, 16 blocks. He's definitely not known for his offense, but he's been getting some of late. Definitely gets you an S-load of blocks there, so he could help in certain formats. We'll finish it off with some forwards that have 4-game weeks that don't play on Monday or Wednesday. Start off in Buffalo again. Look at Dylan Cozens, listed as a center, owned in 57% of Yahoo leagues. Plays second line, top power play unit. He's put up 4 points the last 3 games, and in those 3 games, plus 2, one of those points being on the power play with 6 shots on goal. He's heating back up and should be a nice option with him having 4 games this week. Another one in Buffalo is Victor Olofsson, listed as a right winger, owned in 18% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit. He's put up 9 points the last 11 games, and of those 9 points, 2 have been on the power play, firing a lot of shots on net, 30 shots on goal in those last 11 games. So with that, he's played his way back into the top 6 there, and he is producing of late, so he should be an alright option for you. Over in LA, maybe look at Quinton Byfield, listed as a center, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues, up on the top line and top power play unit right now, and he has 4 points the last 6 games, and in those 6 games, plus 4 with 15 shots on goal and 6 hits. He's been not bad on the top line there, and should be an alright option in your deeper leagues. Another one in LA is Victor Arvidsson, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 19% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, second power play unit, and he has 4 points the last 5 games. A couple of those points being on the power play with 12 shots on goal. He has been hot and cold. Started out really strong, then he got hot and cold of late there. So with that, he seems to be heating back up, so he could be an okay option. There is some risk involved, though, with him. Another one in LA is Philippe Dagnon, listed as a center, owned in 29% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, second power play unit. He's put up 5 points the last 5 games. A couple of those points being on the power play with 12 shots on goal and 6 blocks. He has been decent of late there, and overall his Cats are good, so he should be an alright option, especially in your Cats leagues. Over in Tampa Bay, look at Alex Killorn, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 28% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, second power play unit there, and he has 9 points his last 12 games. A couple of those points being on the power play. He has been kind of hit or miss of late there, but when he does get points, he seems to get multi-point games there. So with that, kind of a risk-reward play, but could turn out to be very rewarding for you. Another one in Tampa is Anthony Cirelli, listed as center left winger, owned in 21% of Yahoo leagues. He plays on the second line in Tampa. He has 6 points the last 4 games, and in those 4 games, he's +6 with 11 shots on goal and 3 blocks there. He's on a small roll of late there and could be an okay option depending how deep your league is. Last one's Marcus Johansson in Washington there, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues. Playing on the second line, top power play unit. It's been pointless the last 3 games, but he had points in 4 straight before that. He did leave last game in the middle of it, so do check his status before you do take a chance on him. But if he is available, do remember he is streaky, so there is some risk, but he could definitely help you in some deeper leagues there. That's it for today's episode. If you're watching via YouTube, remember to hit like, hit subscribe, remember that notification bell. If you're listening via podcast, remember to hit that heart, hit follow, hit subscribe, depending what platform you're listening to it on. Don't forget to check out www.247clash.com. If you do sign up, do use referral code LTC. And good luck there, fantasy owners, in Week 19, and we'll be out with another video. Talk to you soon.